Since having kids, I cannot go back to doing work the way that I used to do it. I used to think that if I could just get a few hours of uninterrupted time, or if I could just manage my time better, maybe I could work the same way that I used to in grad school. And it just hasn't worked out that way because I still have the same ambitions. I still have the same drive to get things done, but I don't have the same capacity. And maybe I need to redefine my definition of what progress looks like. And if that sounds like you, come with me and we're going to talk about what it looks like when our academic life changes, but our definition of real work doesn't. If you're just joining, hi, I'm Dr. Stacey Garapi. I have my PhD in music education. I'm a mom, researcher, editor, and I help writers like you with full plates and even fuller hearts to be efficient in your writing and research, be encouraged, and enjoy your life. Welcome to Crayons in My Manuscript. I used to consider a productive day was something like going into the library and collecting some resources and then spending a couple of hours at a coffee shop, going through them, adding them to my bibliography, or perhaps taking an afternoon and writing a paragraph or two and really digging in and having a good section of content when I got finished with it. That's what used to be a productive afternoon. And since having my daughter, it's changed a lot. Now it's 10 minutes of reading through a resource. Now it's getting maybe 45 minutes while she's napping to be able to sit down and plan out a paper or to edit and to write out what edits need to be made. It's quite a different reality that I'm living in right now. Or it might be that she has a 2-hour nap and I'm able to get into the zone. But as soon as she wakes up, then I have to go back to caregiving. And that reality is really difficult to get used to. It's such a shift in the way that you consider, and your brain kind of turns on into what's considered productive time. I used to be able to have the luxury to think, when am I the most alert? And when can I really zero in on deep thoughts? And now I think, when do I actually have the free time? Or when can I carve out little bits of time and make myself productive during those times? And that's quite a shift to make. And it causes a lot of frustration because if I'm not thinking about productivity in terms of caregiving and finding the gaps and addressing some of the feelings and some of the grief really around kind of losing my initial system that was working, then I run into this frustration of, if I could just get another time management system, or if I could just, fix XYZ, or if I could just optimize this aspect of parenting, then maybe I could go back to my old system and everything would be great. Except it's not. It's not coming back for a long time. So there's this tension, right? There's this tension between how we used to work and how we're finding that we have to work when we have additional caregiving responsibilities or when life changes on us. And sometimes it changes in the middle of graduate school. Sometimes it changes afterward, but we're going to go through these shifts where our capacity is not the same. And it does involve some elements of grieving. And if I'm honest, I'm grieving being on call, not being on call all the time, not possibly having my research interrupted by little tiny sticky fingers, and even planning for conferences that don't necessarily involve sippy cups and incalculable amounts of goldfish. I'm grieving having that space to be able to just get in my car and go to the library. I'm even grieving because I've finished at my institution. I'm grieving my institutional access to my library. I'm having to get creative about getting into the library as an independent researcher, and that's tough as well. So there's grief involved with the things that we lose. And you combine that with the fact that you're actually building a life that you enjoy and holding those things in both hands. Two things can be true at once. You can love the life that you're building and also grieve the one that you've left behind. So I think dealing with that is one of the most difficult parts of this whole transitional process. So I've been experimenting with a different version of academic work. I have been experimenting with one that is in tiny chunks that are in found spaces, while also dealing with the feelings of grief. So what that means is that if my child is napping for 2 hours, I take that time, but instead of putting the expectation on myself that I'm going to read this whole chapter, or I'm going to, get into this editing piece and I'm going to get half of it edited in the afternoon. Instead, I recalibrate my expectations and say, okay, my goal is to edit 2 pages of this. And that may not sound like it's a whole lot, but let me put it into perspective for you, or let me give you a real life example. I have an editing job for a journal that is due in the next month. And former me would have just put it off for a couple of weeks and said, you know what, I don't even have to think about that because I'll have time in the next few weeks and I can just work on other projects now instead. Whereas mom me understands that I need to do just a little bit related to that a couple of times a week in order to not be overwhelmed by it close to the deadline. And what that might look like is, today I have 10 minutes. I'm going to set a timer, and for 10 minutes, I'm going to download this article, I'm going to skim through it, and I'm going to give my initial impressions. Once 10 minutes is done, I'm done. I have touched it, and now it's not something that's completely just undone and sitting in my inbox. It's something that I have, and that counts as progress, because the version of me that is downloading an article I need to edit is running laps around the version of me that is doom scrolling Instagram with perfect mom accounts and their perfect children, seemingly so. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about the life that you want to build, and let's talk about doing your research and your writing in tiny chunks. Let's talk about what that would look like to revise your expectations of yourself such that you didn't have to be superhuman researcher or superhuman uber productive person. And I know that may sound a bit cliched, or it may even sound like pie in the sky to be like, adjust my expectations, but we don't realize how the stories that we tell ourselves about our expectations around getting something done can really negatively impact the overall product. Let me give you another example. When it comes to content writing, I will often have the expectation of myself that, hey, I have 2 hours. That means I can record 2 episodes. Maybe I could even get a short in. Maybe I could even empty my inbox and get it down to email inbox 0. Y'all, that is unrealistic. So when life happens and my child and a buzz comes in on my computer, or my child wakes up from her nap, or somebody is mowing the lawn outside and I can't record because the sound is like too much and I can't. When something like that happens, I spiral, and it's not healthy. It's not good. And so I'm learning to retool my expectations. I'm learning to redefine what I consider progress and productivity. So let me know in the comments below, how do you handle changes in your own capacity? I'd love to get a conversation started, and I'd love for us to encourage one another and build one another up. And if you are wondering about other aspects of capacity and how they impact your academic productivity, I want you to check out this next video. It'll be here on the end screen. Until then, I want you to trust your words. You are building real scholarship amidst a very real life. Every little bit counts, and I'm right here with you, cheering you on the whole way. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and join me next time for Crayons in My Manuscript. Bye-bye.